Hello, hi Lechi, how you doing? Are you doing okay today? I have decided to try and do the other tracking, so you might see that it's a little different. The reason why I did not go to the graphic card setting one is because of why are you angry, Holy? Is because it was glitching out for a while, so I'm just trying to see if it'll work with this model because on the other model it decided to glitch out. But this one's rigged a bit better, so I was hoping it wouldn't glitch this one out and like suddenly stop. Why are you angry? What do you want, Holy? Why are you so angry? Hi Mama, I'm doing okay, trying to wind down before lock. Yeah, you always have your homework on this day, don't you? But yeah. So today we're going to be reading Warriors, Forest of Secrets, chapter 21 through 25. Once I read all the chapters, that will be the end of the stream, and I will be taking a break after each chapter for a quick one, which tends to last maybe 2 minutes to 5 minutes. I just take a rest, I stretch, hydrate, whatever. We have hit 16 followers on this channel, which is pretty crazy. I think they lowered it to 25, so once I hit 25 followers, I will actually be affiliated on this channel, believe it or not. So we're really, really close to getting affiliate on this. That's the only thing that is stopping us is the follow count. We have the view count, we have the days, it's just that. So why are you angry, Holy? Before I get into the book, why are you angry at me? Do I need to boop you? You need booped it? Are you angry? Are you angry at the Minecraft thing? I don't know what they've been saying over at the Minecraft thing. I haven't been paying attention for the past hour. You got me playing this stupid panning game. This stupid panning game? If it's stupid, why are you playing it? You have to admit that it's a pretty fun game. It's similar to Fish, and it's pretty relaxing. I saw you playing it earlier. I'm like, oh, you're took away your friend, but oh. Well, I wanted to unwind for a little bit before stream because I was having a pretty bad headache. I've actually, right before stream started, I took another dose of medicine. So if I take a little bit extra of a longer of a break, you know why. I have a pretty gnarly headache today. But we will be, again, reading chapter 21 through 25 today. Recap of the previous chapters is two of the clans actually came to attack the Thunder Clan because they were housing the ex-Shadow Clan leader. So, a little bit rough. Also, for some reason, Graystripe and his lovely lady in the River Clan are having kittens. So there's that twist as well. Well, maybe after stream ends, I might go back on there and just kind of chill a bit. So maybe you'll get that, but then again, you're supposed to be sleeping soon. You sassy baka. Alright, you guys. Let's go ahead and jump into the chapter reading. And we're going to be starting with chapter 21. Since I've been speaking in this ear since the beginning, I'm going to go ahead and just switch ears to start. Video shower going on? Good. You could actually switch between the different servers, and when that ends, if no one else pops one, people actually pop those. So you can actually find one that has that, or like a vortex. Alright. Chapter 21. When Cinderpaw had finished tending to Fireheart's wounds, he went to find Graystripe. His friend was hunched up inside the warrior's den, his golden eyes troubled. He looked up as Fireheart slipped between the branches. "I'm sorry," he blurted out. I know I should have been here, but I had to see Silverstream. I couldn't get near her on the night of the gathering. Fireheart sighed. For a moment, he had considered sharing his suspicions about Mistyfoot and Stonefur with his friend, but now he realized that Graystripe had more than enough worries of his own. It's okay, Graystripe. Any of us could have been away, patrolling or hunting. But if I were you, I'd stick around camp for the next few days and make sure Tigerclaw sees you. Graystripe scrapped absently at a piece of moss. Fireheart guessed he had already arranged to meet Silverstream again. There's something else I wanted to tell you, he meowed, deciding not to try to argue about this now. About Brackenpaw. Quickly he described how he and the apprentice had gone out early and how Brackenpaw had scented the invading band of cats. He fought well, too, Fireheart remarked. I think it's time he became a warrior. Graystripe let out a purr of agreement. Does Bluestar know of this? Not yet. You're Brackenpaw's mentor. You ought to recommend him. But I wasn't there. That doesn't matter. Fireheart gave his friend a nudge. Come on, let's go and talk to Bluestar now. The ThunderClan leader and most of the warriors were still in the clearing, while Yellowfang and Cinderpaw distributed cobwebs to stop bleeding and poppy seeds for pain. Brindleface had brought out her kits to see what was going on, and Cloudkit was frisking around, pestering one warrior after another with questions about the battle. Brackenpaw was there, too, giving himself a thorough wash. Fireheart was relieved that he didn't seem too badly hurt. The two warriors went up to Bluestar, and Fireheart once more told the story of Brackenpaw's skill at scenting their enemies and his bravery in battle. It's thanks to Brackenpaw that we had any warning at all, he meowed. We think he should be made a warrior, Graystripe added. Bluestar nodded thoughtfully. I agree. Brackenpaw showed himself worthy today. She got up, faced into the middle of her cats, and raised her voice. Let all cats old enough to catch their own prey join here beneath the high rock for a clan meeting. Goldenflower appeared at once from the nursery, followed by Speckletail, and Small-Ear limped slowly from the elder's den. When they had gathered around Bluestar, she meowed, Brackenpaw, come here. Brackenpaw looked up, surprised, and padded nervously over to Bluestar. Fireheart could see he had not at least the idea of what was coming. Brackenpaw, it was you who warned the clan today, and you fought bravely in battle. Bluestar meowed. It is time for you to become a warrior. The apprentice's mouth fell open. His eyes blazed with excitement as Bluestar pronounced the ritual words. I, Bluestar, leader of ThunderClan, call upon my warrior ancestors to look down on this apprentice. He has trained hard to understand the ways of your noble code, and I commend him to you as a warrior in his turn. She fixed her blue eyes on Brackenpaw. Brackenpaw, do you promise to uphold the warrior code and to protect and defend this clan, even at the cost of your life? Brackenpaw trembled slightly, but his voice was steady as he meowed. I do. Then by the powers of StarClan, I give you your warrior name, Brackenpaw. From this moment, you'll be known as Brackenfur. StarClan honors your forethought and your determination, and we welcome you as a full warrior of ThunderClan. When she finished speaking, Bluestar stepped up to Brackenfur and rested her muzzle on his bowed head. Brackenfur licked her shoulder respectfully, then walked over to stand between Fireheart and Graystripe. The watching cats raised their voices to chant the new warrior's name. Brackenfur, Brackenfur, and began to press around him, congratulating him and wishing him well. His mother, Frostfur, pressed her muzzle against his flank, while her dark blue eyes glowed with delight. "Tonight you have to keep the vigil alone," mewed Sandstorm, giving Brackenfur a friendly nudge. "Thanks, StarClan. The rest of us can have a night off." Brackenfur was too overwhelmed to answer properly, but he broke into a deep, contented purr. Thank you, Graystripe," he stammered. "And you, Fireheart." Fireheart felt a rush of pride to see the cat made a warrior at last, almost as though Brackenfur had been his own apprentice. It made up a little for knowing that he would never go through this with Cinderpaw. StarClan had a different fate for her. Now that the ceremony was done, weariness swept over Fireheart. He was about to go back to the warrior's den when he caught sight of Cinderpaw limping rapidly over to her brother. "Congratulations, Brackenfur," she mewed, her blue eyes sparkling as she covered his ears with licks. Brackenfur's purring faltered and his eyes looked troubled. "You should have been with me," he murmured, gently nosing her injured leg. "No, I'm fine as I am," Cinderpaw insisted. "You'll have to be a warrior for both of us, and I'll have to settle for being the greatest medicine cat this forest has ever seen." Fireheart gazed at the dark gray she-cat with admiration. He knew that Cinderpaw really was happy to be Yellowfang's apprentice. She would be a fine medicine cat, but she would have to be a fine warrior too. I actually messed that one up. I have to redo that sentence. Give me a second. But she would have been a fine warrior too. Took a special spirit, he thought, not to begrudge her brother's triumph. As always, the sight of Cinderpaw's injury reminded Fireheart of Tigerclaw. Fireheart was so sure the deputy had caused her accident and had also tried to drown him just recently. Yet today, Tigerclaw had fought with strength of StarClan. Without him, they couldn't have lost the battle. If he proved his treachery, Fireheart asked himself, who will defend ThunderClan then? After the raid, Fireheart was relieved to see Graystripe keeping his promise to stay around the camp. Patrolling or hunting or helping Yellowfang and Cinderpaw to replenish their supplies. Tigerclaw said nothing, but Fireheart hoped he had noticed. However, on the third morning, Fireheart was woken by movement in the nest beside him. His eyes opened in time to see Graystripe sliding out of its den. "Graystripe?" he muttered. His friend vanished without replying. Careful not to disturb Sandstorm, who was sleeping on his other side, Fireheart got up and slipped out between the branches. He emerged, blinking into the clearing, and saw Graystripe disappearing into the gorse tunnel. He also saw Darkstripe, crouched beside the pile of fresh kill, looking up with a vole dangling from his jaws. His eyes were fixed on the tunnel entrance. Fireheart felt a heavy weight, like a cold stone, in his belly. If Darkstripe had seen Graystripe leave, that meant Tigerclaw would know about it before very long. And then the deputy would want to know exactly where Graystripe had been. He might even follow him and catch him with Silverstream. Almost unconsciously, Fireheart started forwards. He forced himself to walk briskly, but without any special urgency. As he passed the heap of fresh kill, he called out, "Morning, Darkstripe. We're just off to hunt. Early cat that catches the prey, you know." Without waiting for Darkstripe's response, he entered the tunnel, Once he had left the clearing, he put on speed, racing to the top of the ravine. Graystripe was out of sight already, but his scent was strong, leading unwaveringly to the sunning rocks. But they agreed only to meet at 4 trees, he thought. Fireheart pelted along, ignoring the tempting sounds and smells of prey in the undergrowth. He had hoped to catch Graystripe and divert him before his friend reached Silverstream, just in case Tigerclaw was already out in the forest. But by the time he came within sight of the sunning rocks, he had seen no sign of him. Fireheart paused on the edge of the trees and drank in the scented air. Graystripe was close by, he was sure, and he could sense Silverstream as well. But the scents of both cats were overlaid with something that set Fireheart's fur bristling: the smell of blood. At that moment, he heard a thin, ear wailing from the rocks ahead. The unmistakable sound of a cat in deep distress. "Graystripe," he yelled. He shot forwards and hurled himself up the sloping surface of the nearest rock. What he saw from the top brought him skidding to a stop. Below, in a deep gully between this rock and the next, Silverstream lay on her side. As Fireheart stared, appalled, a strong spasm traveled down the length of her body, and her legs twitched. She let out another chilling wail. "Graystripe!" Fireheart gasped. Graystripe was crouched beside Silverstream, frantically licking her heaving flank. He looked up at the sound of Fireheart's voice. "Fireheart! It's the kits. The kits are coming. It's all going wrong. Fetch Yellowfang." But Fireheart bit off his protest. His paws were already moving, carrying him down from the rock and back across the stretch of the open ground towards the trees. You get him, Siri bot. Fuck that bot. Fireheart ran as he had never ran before. Even so, a small, cold part of his mind was telling him this was the end. Every cat in the clans would find out about Graystripe and Silverstream now. What would Bluestar and Crookedstar do to them when it was all over? Almost before he knew it, he was back at the camp. He hurled himself down the ravine, almost bowling Cinderpaw over at the entrance to the tunnel. She veered back with a meow of protest, scattering the herbs she had gathered. "Fireheart, what? Where's Yellowfang?" Fireheart panted. "Yellowfang?" Cinderpaw suddenly grew more serious as she sensed Fireheart's desperation. She went over to the Snake Rocks. It's the best place to find Yarrow. Fireheart gathered himself to go on running, then paused, frustrated. It would take too much time to fetch Yellowfang from Snake Rocks. Silverstream needed help now. "What's the matter?" mewed Cinderpaw. "There's a cat, Silverstream, by the Sunning Rocks. She's having her kits, but something's gone wrong." "Oh, StarClan, help her!" exclaimed Cinderpaw. "I'll come. Wait there, I need to fetch supplies." She vanished into the mouth of the gorse tunnel. Fireheart waited, scrabbling his paws with impatience, until at last he saw movement in the tunnel again. But it wasn't Cinderpaw, it was Brackenfur. "Cinderpaw sent me for Yellowfang," he called as he bounded past Fireheart, heading up the ravine. At last, Cinderpaw reappeared. The jaws were clamped on a new, leaf-wrapped bundle of herbs. Flicked her tail at Fireheart as she approached, signaling that he should lead the way. Every step of that journey was torment for Fireheart. Cinderpaw did her best, but her damaged leg slowed her down. Time seemed to stretch out. With a pang of horror, Fireheart remembered his dream of a faceless silver queen who faded away, leaving her kits, crying helplessly in the dark. Had that been Silverstream? As soon as the sunning rocks came in sight, Fireheart bounded ahead for Cinderpaw. When he reached the foot of the rock, he saw another cat crouched on top, looking down into the gully where Graystripe and Silverstream were. Cold paws clutched Fireheart's heart. There was no mistaking Tigerclaw's massive body and dark coat. Darkstripe must have notified him, and the deputy had followed Graystripe's scent. Fireheart had passed him on his dash back to camp without realizing it. Fireheart, growled Tigerclaw, turning his head, as Fireheart scrambled up the rock. What do you know about this? Fireheart looked down into the gully. Silverstream still lay on her side, but the powerful rippling down her body had ebbed away into weak spasms. She had stopped wailing now. Fireheart guessed she was too exhausted. Graystripe huddled close to her. He made a low, crooning noise, deep in his chest, and his yellow eyes were fixed on the she-cat's face. Fireheart didn't think that either of them had realized Tigerclaw was there. Before Fireheart could answer the deputy's question, Cinderpaw came skidding around the bottom of the rock and squeezed along the gully to Silverstream's side. She dropped the bundle of herbs and stooped to sniff the silver-gray queen. Fireheart, he called a moment later. Get down here, I need you. Ignoring the furious hiss from Tigerclaw, Fireheart leaped down into the gully, scraping his claws painfully on the sheer rock. As his paws touched the ground, Cinderpaw came to meet him. She was carrying a very small kit with its eyes closed and ears flat to its head. Dark gray fur plastered to its body. Is it dead? Fireheart whispered. No. Cinderpaw set down the kit and patted it towards him. Lick, Fireheart. Make it warm. Get his blood flowing. As soon as she had finished speaking, she turned to the nearest space and went back to Silverstream. Her body blocked Fireheart's view of what was happening, but he heard the apprentice medicine cat begin to meow reassuringly, and the anxious queen question from Graystripe. Fireheart bent over the kit and rasped his tongue over its tiny body. For a long time it didn't respond. He began to think Cinderpaw had been wrong, and the kit was dead, after all. Then he felt a tiny shiver run through it, and it opened its jaws in a soundless mew. It's alive, he gasped. Told you, Cinderpaw called to him. Keep licking. There's another one coming any moment now. That's right, Silverstream. You're doing fine. Tigerclaw had come down from the rock and was standing in the mouth of the gully with a look of thunder on his face. That's a RiverClan cat, he hissed. Will one of you tell me what's going on? Before any cat had time to reply, Cinderpaw let out a shout of triumph. You've done it, Silverstream. Moments later, she turned with the second tiny kit in her jaws and set it down in front of Tigerclaw. Here, lick. Tigerclaw glared at her. I'm not a medicine cat. Cinderpaw's blue eyes blazed as she rounded on the deputy. You got a tongue, haven't you? Lick, you useless lump of fur. You want the kid to die? Fireheart flinched, half expecting Tigerclaw to hurl himself at her and slash her open with his powerful claws. Instead, the dark tabby bowed his huge head and began to lick the second kit. At once, Cinderpaw turned back to Silverstream. Fireheart heard her meow. You need to swallow this herb. Here, Graystripe. Make her eat as much as she can. You've got to stop the bleeding. Fireheart paused for a moment in his own vigorous licking. His kit was breathing evenly now. and it seemed to be out of danger. He wished he knew what was happening in the gully ahead of him. He heard Cinderpaw growl, "Hold on, Silverstream," and a louder, panicky meow from Graystripe. "Silverstream." At the sound of his friend's distress, Fireheart could not stay back any longer. Leaving the kit, he pushed forward until he could crouch beside Cinderpaw. It was in time to see Silverstream raise her head and feebly lick Graystripe's face. "Goodbye, Graystripe," she whispered. "I love you. Take care of our kits." Then the Silver Tabby's body gave a massive shudder. Her head fell back. Her paws jerked, and she was still. "Silverstream," whispered Cinderpaw. "No, Silverstream, no." Graystripe's mew was very soft. "Don't go. Don't leave me." He bent over the limp body, nuzzling her gently. He did not move. "Silverstream." Graystripe reared up and flung his head. His wails of grief split the quiet air. "Silverstream." Cinderpaw crouched over the body for a few moments more, nudging at Silverstream's fur. But at last she admitted defeat. She sat up and stared ahead, her blue eyes bleak and cold. Fireheart got up and padded over to her. "Cinderpaw, the kits are safe," he murmured. The look she gave him made his heart freeze. "But their mother is dead. I lost her, Fireheart." The rocks were still echoing to Graystripe's dreadful wailing. Tigerclaw appeared, scrambling past the other cats, and reached out a massive paw to cuff the Grey Warrior behind the ear. "Stop that moaning." Graystripe fell silent, more out of shock and exhaustion. Fireheart thought, then obedience to the deputy's order. Tigerclaw glared around at all of them. "Now, will some cat tell me what's going on? Graystripe, you know this RiverClan cat." Graystripe looked up. His eyes had gone dull and cold like pebbles. "I loved her," he whispered. "What? These are your kits?" Tigerclaw seemed stunned. "Mine and Silverstream's." A faint spark of defiance kindled in Graystripe. "I know what you'll say, Tigerclaw. Don't bother. I don't care." Turned back to Silverstream, pressing his nose against her fur and murmuring softly to her. Meanwhile, Cinderpaw had roused herself enough to examine the two kits. "I think they'll live," she mewed. Though to Fireheart she sounded less certain than before. "We need to get them back to camp, to find a queen to suckle them." Tigerclaw spun around to face her. "Are you mad? Why should ThunderClan raise them? They're half-breeds. No clan will want them." Cinderpaw ignored him. "Fireheart, you take that one," she ordered. "I'll carry the other." Fireheart twitched his whiskers in agreement. But before he picked up the kit, he walked over to Graystripe and pressed his body against his friend's broad gray shoulder. "Do you want to come with us?" Graystripe shook his head. "I have to stay here and bury her," he whispered. "Here, between RiverClan and ThunderClan. After this, not even her own clan will want to mourn her." Fireheart felt his heart break for his friend, but there was nothing more he could do to help. "I'll come back soon," he promised. More softly, though he was past caring if Tiger Claw hurt him or not. He added, "I will mourn her with you, Graystripe. She was brave, and I know she loved you." His friend did not respond. Fireheart picked up the kit with his teeth and left Graystripe beside the cat he had loved more than his clan. More than honor. More than life itself. That was the end of chapter 21, and I'm going to go ahead and take my quick break now, and we'll continue to chapter 22 and find out what they're going to end up doing with those kids. Alright, I'm back for my very quick break. I hope you guys are ready for the next chapter. Seems like it's gonna be a very emotional one. I mean, this one was. Chapter 22. Tiger Claw went on ahead, and by the time Fireheart and Cinderpaw reached the camp, the Silverstream kids, the whole clan knew what had happened. Oh, thank you, Lechi. Yes, welcome back, welcome back. Warriors and apprentices had gathered outside their dens, watching in silence. Fireheart could almost smell their shock and disbelief. Bluestar stood at the entrance of the nursery, as if she was waiting for them. Fireheart half expected her to turn them away, refusing to take care of a different clan's kids. But she only meowed quietly. "Come inside." In the heart of the bramble thicket, all was dim and quiet. Brindleface was curled around her kits, asleep in a heap of gray and tawny fur, with Cloudkit's white coat shining among them like a patch of snow. Close by her, in a nest of moss lined with downy feathers, Golden Flower lay on her side, suckling her new kits. One was a pale ginger, color like Golden Flower herself, and the other a dark tabby. "Golden Flower," murmured Bluestar, "I have something to ask you. Can you manage 2 more? Her mother has just died." Golden Flower raised her head. her startled look softening when she saw the two helpless scraps of fur dangling from Fireheart's and Cinderpaw's mouths. They had begun to wriggle feebly, giving out thin, high-pitched mews of fear and hunger. "I suppose," Goldenflower began. "Wait," Speckletail interrupted. He had padded into the nursery just behind Fireheart. "Before you agree to anything, Goldenflower, ask Bluestar to tell you whose kits these are." Fireheart felt a pang of anxiety. Though Speckletail was a good mother, she had a ferocious temper, and he guessed she would not look kindly on kits that were neither one clan nor the other. "I would not hide such a thing from her," Bluestar meowed calmly. "Goldenflower, these are Graystripe's kits. Their mother was Silverstream, a RiverClan cat." Goldenflower's eyes widened in astonishment, and Brindleface, roused from her doze, pricked up her ears. "Graystripe must have been slinking off for moons to see her," Speckletail hissed. "What loyal cat would do that?" "They both betrayed their clans. There's bad blood in those kits." "Nonsense," Bluestar spat back. Her hackles suddenly raised. Fireheart winced. He had rarely seen his leader so angry. "Whatever we think about Graystripe and Silverstream, the kits are innocent. Will you take them, Goldenflower? They'll die without a mother." Goldenflower hesitated, and then let out a long breath. "How can I say no? I have plenty of milk." Speckletail let out a snort of disapproval and pointedly turned her back as Fireheart and Cinderpaw gently laid the kits in Goldenflower's nest. The pale Ginger Queen bent over to guide them towards her belly, and their miserable squeaking died away as they burrowed into the warmth of her body and found a place to suckle. "Thank you, Goldenflower," purred Bluestar. Fireheart realized that she was looking down at the young kits with an expression of longing. He wondered if she was thinking about her own lost kits, and his doubts about what had really happened to them came flooding back. Could they possibly be Mistyfoot and Stonefur, alive and well in RiverClan? Did she have any idea? His thoughts were interrupted when Cinderpaw turned abruptly and made her way out of the den. Fireheart followed her, to find her crouching outside with her head bowed onto her front paws. "What's the matter?" he asked. "Silverstream died." Fireheart could hardly hear her muffled reply. "I let her die." "That's not true." Cinderpaw looked up, blinking. Her eyes were blue pools of misery. "I'm supposed to be a medicine cat. I'm supposed to save lives." "You saved the two kits," Fireheart reminded her, moving closer and pressing the side of his face against her cheek. "But I didn't save Silverstream." A wave of sympathy washed over Fireheart. He understood how Cinderpaw felt, and he wanted to tell her she was wrong to blame herself. But he didn't have the words. Feeling useless and saddened, he began to lick her gently. "What's going on?" Fireheart looked up to see Yellowfang standing in front of them, a puzzled frown on her broad gray face. "What's this I hear about Graystripe and a RiverClan queen?" Cinderpaw didn't even seem to notice that her mentor was there. It was left to Fireheart to explain. Cinderpaw was brilliant, he told the elderly medicine cat. Those kits would have died without her. Yellowfang nodded. I've seen Tiger Claw, she rasped. Brackenfur was taking me to the Stunning Rocks when we ran into him. He's furious about the kits, but he's not furious with you, Cinderpaw. He knows you did your duty, just as any other medicine cat would. Cinderpaw glanced up at that. I'll never be a medicine cat, she spat bitterly. I'm useless. I let Silverstream die. What? Snarled Yellowfang angrily, arching her skinny gray body. That's the most mouse-brained thing I've ever heard. Yellowfang. Fireheart began to protest at her harsh tone, but the medicine cat ignored him. You did your best, Cinderpaw, she growled. No cat can do more. But it wasn't good enough, Cinderpaw pointed out dully. If you'd been there, you would have saved her. Oh? StarClan told you that, did they? Cinderpaw, sometimes cats die, and no cat can do anything about it. She let out a rusty mew, half laughter, half scolding. Not even me. But I lost her, Yellowfang. I know, and that's a hard lesson. Now there was a rough sympathy in the old cat's meow. But I've lost cats before now. More cats than I care to count. Every medicine cat in the world has. You live with it, you go on. She nudged Cinderpaw with her battle-scarred muzzle, and went on nudging until the younger cat rose unsteadily to her paws. Come on, there's work to be done. Small Ear's complaining about his aching joints again. She herded Cinderpaw into the direction of her den and paused to glance over her shoulder at Fireheart. Don't worry, she told him. She'll be fine. Fireheart watched the two cats cross the clearing and vanish into Yellowfang's den. You can trust Yellowfang. At the sound of a quiet meow, Fireheart turned to see Bluestar. You'll see Cinderpaw through this. The clan leader was sitting just outside the nursery, her tail wrapped neatly over her paws. In spite of all the turmoil of Silverstream's death and the discovery of Gray Stripe's illicit relationship, he looked as calm as ever. Bluestar, Fireheart meowed hesitantly. What will happen to Graystripe now? Will he be punished? Bluestar looked thoughtful. I can't answer that yet, Fireheart, she admitted. I need to discuss it with Tigerclaw and the other warriors. Graystripe couldn't help himself, Fireheart blurted out loyally. Not help himself when he betrayed his clan and the warrior code to be with Silverstream. Bluestar's eyes glinted, but her tone was not as angry as Fireheart would have expected. I promise you one thing, she added. I'll do nothing until the shock has died down. We need to consider the whole matter carefully. You're not really shocked, though, are you? Fireheart dared to ask. Had you guessed it was happening? He half expected Bluestar not to answer. She held him motionless for several heartbeats, with her penetrating blue gaze. There was wisdom in her eyes, he saw, and even pain. Yes, I suspected, she meowed at last. It's a leader's place to know things, and I'm not exactly blind at the gatherings. Then why didn't you stop it? I hoped Graystripe would remember his loyalty to the clan on his own, Bluestar replied. I knew that even if he didn't, Something would happen to end it sooner or later. I only wish it had not ended so tragically. For both of them. Though I don't know how Greystripe would have coped with watching his own kids grow up in another clan. You understand about that, don't you? The words were out before Fireheart had the chance to think about what he was saying. It happened to you. Bluestar stiffened, and Fireheart flinched at the sudden blaze of anger in her eyes. Then she relaxed, and the anger was replaced by a distant look of memory and loss. You guessed, he murmured. I thought you might. Yes, Fireheart. Mistyfoot and Stonefur were once my kids. That is the end of chapter 22. I'm gonna take another quick break, stretch, water, I'll be right back, and we'll see what happened with that conversation. Alright, you guys. Chapter 23. Bluestar ordered. She began to walk slowly across the camp towards her den, leaving Fireheart with no choice but to follow. Once inside, she told him to sit down and settled herself on her bedding. How much do you know? She asked Fireheart, her blue eyes searching his. Only that Oakheart brought 2 ThunderClan kids to RiverClan, Fireheart admitted. He told Graperoll, that's the queen who suckled them, that he didn't know where they had come from. Bluestar nodded, her gaze softening. I knew Oakheart would stay loyal to me, he murmured. She raised her head. He was the kid's father. Did you guess that much? Fireheart shook his head. But it made sense, then, that Oakheart had been so desperate for Greypool to take care of the helpless kits. What exactly happened to your kits? He demanded, curiosity making him unguarded. Oakheart didn't steal them, did he? Clan leader's ears flicked impatiently. Of course not. Her eyes met Fireheart, suddenly clouded with a pain he could not begin to imagine. No, he didn't steal them. I gave them away. Fireheart stared in disbelief. There was nothing he could do but wait for the she-cat to explain. My warrior name was Bluefur, she began. Like you, I wanted nothing more than to serve my clan. Oakheart and I met at a gathering early one Leaf Bear. When we were still young and foolish. We were not mates for long. When I discovered I was to have kits, I intended to bear them for ThunderClan. No cat asked who the father was. If Queen does not wish to tell, that is her choice. But then, Fireheart prompted. Bluestar's eyes were fixed on a point far away, as if she were staring into the distant past. Then our clan deputy, Tawny Spots, decided to retire. I knew I had a good chance of being chosen to take his place. Our medicine cat had already told me that StarClan held a great destiny for me. But I also knew that the clan would never take a queen nursing kits as deputy. So you gave them away? Fireheart could not keep the note of disbelief out of his voice. Couldn't you have waited until they left their nursery? Surely you could have been made deputy once the kids were old enough to care for themselves. It wasn't an easy decision, Bluestar told him, her voice rough with pain. That was a bitter Leaf Bear. The clan was half-starved, and I had barely enough milk to feed my kids. I knew that in RiverClan they would be well cared for. In those days, the river was full of fish, and RiverClan cats would never went hungry. But to lose them, my heart blinked at the sharpness of pain he felt in sympathy. Fireheart, I don't need you to tell me how difficult my choice was. I lay awake for many nights, deciding what to do, what was best for the kids, what was best for me, and what was best for the clan. There must have been other warriors ready to be deputy. Fireheart was still struggling to accept that Bluestar had been so ambitious that she would have given away her own kids. Bluestar jerked her chin up defiantly. Oh yes, there was Thistleclaw. He was a fine warrior, strong and brave. But his answer to every problem was to fight. Should I have watched him made deputy, then leader, and let him force the clan into unnecessary wars? She shook her head sadly. He died as he lived, Fireheart. A few seasons before he came to join us, attacking a RiverClan patrol on the border. Wild and arrogant to the last. I couldn't stand by and let him destroy my clan. Did you give the kits to Oakheart yourself? Yes. I spoke to him at a gathering and he agreed to take them. So one night, I crept out of the camp and took them to the Sunning Rocks. Oakheart was waiting, and he took 2 of them across the river. 2 of them? Fireheart was startled. You mean there was more than 2? There were 3. Bluestar bowed her head. The mew was scarcely audible. The 3rd kit was too weak to cope with the journey. He died with me by the river. What did he tell the rest of the clan? Fireheart thought back to the gathering, when Patchpelt had said only that Bluestar had lost her kits. I made it look as if they'd been taken from the nursery by a fox or badger. I tore a hole in the nursery wall just before I left, and when I came back I said that I had been hunting and had left my kits sleeping safely. Her whole body trembled, and Fireheart could tell that confessing to this lie was causing Bluestar more pain than losing a life. Every cat searched, she went on. I searched too, even though I knew there was no hope of finding them. The clan was devastated for me. She dropped her head onto her paws, forgetting for a moment that she was his leader. Fireheart crossed the floor of the den and gave Bluestar's ears a gentle lick. Once again, he remembered his dream of the faceless queen. Oh, hi, thank you for following. I hope you're enjoying. We are reading up to chapter 25 today. We're currently on chapter 23. This is book 3, Warriors, Forest of Secrets. And we have had like 3 different, like, oh my god, that's what's happening moments in the past 2 chapters. The queen who faded away, leaving her kits to cry for her. He had thought the queen was Silverstream, but now he realized she was Bluestar as well. The dream had been both prophecy and clan memory. Why are you sharing this with me? He asked. When Bluestar looked up, Fireheart could hardly bear to see the sorrow in her eyes. For many seasons, I put the kits out of my mind, she answered. I became deputy, then leader, and my clan needed me. But lately, with the floods and danger to RiverClan, and your discoveries, Fireheart, making me hear again what I knew very well already. And now, another pair of kits who are half RiverClan, half ThunderClan. Perhaps, this time, I can make better decisions. But why tell me? Fireheart repeated. Perhaps after so long, I want a cat to know the truth. Meowed Bluestar with a slight frown. I think you of all cats might understand, Fireheart. Sometimes there are no right choices. But Fireheart was not sure that he understood at all. His mind was whirling. On one paw, he could picture the young warrior, Bluefur, fiercely ambitious, determined to do the best for her clan, even if it meant unimaginable sacrifices. On the other, he saw a mother grieving for the kits she had abandoned so long ago, and what was probably more real to him than either, the gifted leader who had done what she felt was best and borne the pain of it alone. I won't tell another cat, he promised, realizing how much she must trust him to have revealed her secrets to him like this. Thank you, Fireheart, she replied. There are difficult times ahead of us. The clan doesn't need more trouble. She rose to her paws and stretched as if she had been curled up in a long sleep. Now, I must speak with Tigerclaw, and you, Fireheart, had better go find your friend. The sun was beginning to sink, turning the river into a ribbon of reflected fire. As Fireheart returned to the sunning rocks, Graystripe crouched beside a patch of freshly turned earth at the bottom of the riverbank, his gaze fixed on the blazing water. I buried her on the shore, he whispered as Fireheart padded up and sat down beside him. He loved the river. He raised his head to where the first stars of Silverfelt were now beginning to appear. She hunts with StarClan now, he mewed softly. Someday, I'll find her again, and we'll be together. Fireheart was unable to speak. He pressed himself more closely to Graystripe's side, and the two cats crouched there in silence as the blood-red light faded. Where did he take the kits? Graystripe meowed at last. He should have been buried with her. Buried? Fireheart echoed. Graystripe, didn't you know? The kids are alive. Graystripe stared at him, jaws gaping, his golden eyes beginning to glow. They're alive? Silverstream kids. My kids. Fireheart. Where are they? In the ThunderClan nursery, Fireheart gave him a quick lick. Goldenflower is suckling them. But she won't keep them, will she? Does she know they're Silverstreams? The whole clan knows, Fireheart told him. Tigerclaw saw to that. But Goldenflower doesn't blame the kits, neither does Bluestar. They'll be cared for, Graystripe. They really will. Graystripe scrambled to his paws, moving swiftly after his long vigil. He looked doubtfully at Fireheart, as if he couldn't believe that ThunderClan would really accept the kits. I want to see them. Come on, then, mewed Fireheart, feeling a surge of relief that his friend felt ready to face the clan again. Bluestar sent me to bring you home. He led the way through the darkening forest. Graystripe padded after him. But he kept casting glances back, as if he couldn't bear to leave Silverstream behind. He did not speak, and Fireheart let him be silent with his memories. When they reached the camp, the curious merming group of warriors and apprentices had broken up, and everything looked normal for a warm, new leaf evening. Dragonfur and Dustpelt crouched by the nettle patch, sharing a piece of fresh kill, and outside their apprentice's den, Thornpaw and Brightpaw were rolling around in a play fight, while Swiftpaw looked on. Tigerclaw and Bluestar were nowhere to be seen. Fireheart breathed a sigh of relief. He wanted Graystripe left alone, at least until he had visited the kits, without being troubled by blame or hostility from his fellow warriors. Then, on the way back to the nursery, they passed Sandstorm. She halted abruptly, glancing from Fireheart to Graystripe and back again. Hi, Fireheart mewed, trying to sound friendly, as he always did. We're going to visit the kits. See you in the den later. You can, Sandstorm growled, with a glare at Graystripe. Just keep him away from me, that's all. She stalked off, her head and tail held high. Fireheart's heart sank. He remembered how hostile Sandstorm had been to him when he first joined the clan. It had taken her a long time to thaw towards him. How long would it be before she would treat Graystripe as a friend again? Graystripe flattened his ears against his head. She doesn't want me there. No cat does. I do, Fireheart meowed, hoping he sounded sufficiently encouraging. Come on, let's go see your kids. That was the end of chapter 23. As usual, I'm going to go ahead and take another very quick break. Be right back. Alright, I'm back. On to chapter 24. Chapter 24. My heart leaped from one stepping stone to the next across the swiftly flowing river. The floodwater had retreated, and the stones were clearly visible again. It was the day after Silverstream had died. The sky was gray with a thin drizzle of rain, as if StarClan were mourning her too. Fireheart was on his way to take the news of Silverstream's death to RiverClan, although he had not sought Bluestar's permission first. He had slipped away without telling any cat, because he thought Silverstream's clan had the right to know what had happened to her. And he suspected that not every cat in ThunderClan would agree with him. Reaching the opposite bank, Fireheart stood with his head raised, tasting the air for fresh scents. He caught one almost at once. And a heartbeat later, a small tabby tom appeared from the ferns above the path. He hesitated, looking startled, before sidling down the bank to confront Fireheart. You're Fireheart, aren't you? He meowed. I recognize you from the last gathering. What are you doing on our side of the river? He was trying to sound confident, but Fireheart could detect nervousness in his voice. He was a very young cat, an apprentice, Fireheart guessed, anxious at being away from the camp without his mentor. I'm not here to fight with Spy, Fireheart promised. I need to talk to Mistyfoot. Will you fetch her for me? The apprentice hesitated again, as if he would have liked to protest. Then the habit of obeying orders won over, and he padded along the riverside in the direction of RiverClan camp. Fireheart watched him go and scrambled up the bank, to a spot where he could lie concealed in the bracken until Mistyfoot appeared. It was a long time before she came, but at last, Fireheart caught sight of a familiar blue-gray shape trotting rapidly towards him. Familiar because of Bluestar, he realized with a jolt. His leader's daughter was practically her double. To his relief, she was alone. As she paused to sniff the air, he called out softly to her, "Mistyfoot, up here." Mistyfoot's ears twitched. Moments later, she was pushing her way into the ferns beside him. "What is it?" she meowed, looking worried. "Is it about Silverstream? I haven't seen her since yesterday." Fireheart felt as if a bone was lodged in his throat. He swallowed uncomfortably. "Mistyfoot," mewed. "It's bad news. I'm so sorry. Silverstream is dead." Mistyfoot fixed him with wide blue eyes full of disbelief. "Dead?" she echoed. "She can't be." Before Fireheart could respond, she added more harshly, "Did some of your Thunder Clan warriors catch her over there?" "No, no," Fireheart replied quickly. "She was at the Sunning Rocks with Graystripe, and the kits started to come. Something was wrong. There was a lot of blood. We did everything we could. But, oh, Mistyfoot, I'm so sorry." Pain flooded into Mistyfoot's eyes as he explained. She let out a long, low wailing sound, her head flung back and her claws digging into the ground. Fireheart moved closer to try and comfort her, and felt every muscle in her body rigid with tension. There were no words he could say that would be doing any good. At last, the terrible wailing died away and Mistyfoot relaxed a little. "I knew no good would come of it," she murmured. There was no anger or accusation in her voice, only a weary sadness. "I told her not to meet Graystripe, but would she listen? And now, I can't believe I'll never see her again." "Graystripe buried her by Sunning Rocks," Fireheart told her. "If you'll meet me there one day, I'll show you the place." Mistyfoot nodded. "I'd like that, Fireheart." "Her kits are alive," Fireheart added, an attempt to ease some of the Queen's grief. "Her kits?" Mistyfoot sat up, alert again. "2 kits," beat Fireheart. "They're going to be fine." Mistyfoot blinked, suddenly deep in thought. Will ThunderClan want them when they're half River Clan? "One of our queens is suckling them," Fireheart assured her. "The clan's angry with Graystripe, but no cat would take it out on the kits." "I see." Mistyfoot was silent for a while, still thoughtful, and then rose to her paws. "I must go back to the camp and tell the clan. They don't even know about Graystripe. Can't imagine what I'm going to say to Silverstream's father." Fireheart knew how she felt. Many warrior fathers did not stay close to their kits, but Cricketstar had maintained a close bond with Silverstream. His grief at her death would be mixed with anger that she had betrayed her clan by taking Graystripe as a mate. Mistyfoot gave Fireheart a quick lick on the forehead. "Thank you," she mewed. "Thank you for coming to tell me." Then she was gone, sliding rapidly through the ferns. Fireheart waited until she was out of sight before he padded down the pebbly shore and crossed the stepping stones back to his own territory. Hunger roused Fireheart from sleep. Peering through the dim light in the warrior's den, he saw that Graystripe had left his nest already. Oh no, Fireheart thought irritably. He's gone off to meet Silverstream again. Then he remembered. 2 dawns had passed since Silverstream's death. The shock the clan felt about their affair with Graystripe was beginning to die down. Then none of the warriors except Fireheart and Brackenfur would talk to Graystripe or go on patrols with him. Bluestar had still not announced what his punishment would be. Fireheart stretched and yawned. All night, his sleep had been disturbed by Graystripe twitching and whimpering. But the weariness inside him went deeper than that. He couldn't see how the clan could possibly recover from the blow that had been struck by the discovery of Graystripe's disloyalty. There was an atmosphere of uncertainty and distrust that dulled conversation and cut short the familiar rituals of sharing tongues. With a determined shake, Fireheart slipped out through the branches and padded over to the pile of fresh kill. The sun was rising, dappling the camp with golden light. As he bent to pick out a plump full, he heard a voice calling, "Fireheart, Fireheart." Fireheart turned. Cloudkit was racing across the clearing, towards him from the nursery. Brindleface and the rest of her kits followed more slowly. To Fireheart's surprise, Bluestar was with them. "Fireheart," Cloudkit panted, skidding to a stop in front of him. "I'm going to be an apprentice. I'm going to be an apprentice now." Fireheart dropped the bowl. Couldn't help feeling cheered up when he saw the kit's excitement, along with a twinge of guilt that he had completely forgotten Cloudkit was approaching his 6th moon. "You'll mentor him, of course, Fireheart," Bluestar meowed as she came up. "It's time you had another apprentice. You did good work with Brackenfur, even though he wasn't yours." "Thank you," meowed Fireheart, dipping his head to acknowledge her praise. He couldn't help thinking sadly of Cinderpaw. He would never lose the feeling that he had been partially responsible for her accident, and he resolved to do better with Cloudkit. "I'll work harder than any cat," Cloudkit promised, his eyes wide. "I'll be the best apprentice there ever was." "We'll see about that," Bluestar mewed, while Brindleface purred with amusement. "He's been pestering me day and night," she meowed fondly. "I'll know he'll do his best. He's strong and intelligent." Cloudkit's eyes gleamed at her praise. "He seems to have got over finding out he was a kitty pet," Fireheart thought. "But he's arrogant, and he barely knows what the warrior code is, let alone respects it. Did I do the right thing bringing him here?" He wondered yet again. Mentoring him wouldn't be as easy, he knew. "I'll call the meeting," Bluestar meowed, heading for the high rock. With a glance at Fireheart, Cloudkit bounced after her, and the rest of the kits tumbled along behind. "Fireheart," meowed Brindleface, "there's something I want to ask you." Fireheart suppressed a sigh. "What is it?" Obviously, he wasn't going to have time to eat his bowl before Cloudkit's ceremony. "It's about Graystripe. I know what he's been through, but he's never out of the nursery, watching over those 2 kids. It's as if he thinks Goldenflower can't look after him properly. He's getting in the way of all of us." "Have you told him?" "We've tried dropping hints. Speckletail even asked him if he thought he was expecting kids himself. He doesn't take any notice." Fireheart gave the bowl a last regretful glance. I'll talk to him, Brindleface. Is he there now? Yes, he's been there all morning. I'll fetch him out for the meeting. Fireheart padded across the clearing. As he reached the nursery, he heard Bluestar summoning the clan from atop the high rock. As he entered the nursery, he felt a jolt of surprise to meet Tigerclaw coming out. He stepped aside to let the deputy pass him, wondering what he had been doing in the nursery, until he remembered that one of Goldenflower's kits was a dark tabby. Tigerclaw must be their father. The nursery is warm and full of comforting milky smells. Goldenflower lay in her nest with Graystripe crouching over her, sniffing at the bundle of kits. Are they getting enough milk? He meowed anxiously. They're so small. That's because they're young, Goldenflower replied patiently. They'll grow. Fireheart went over to watch the 4 kits suckling busily in the warmth of their mother's body. The little dark tabby certainly looked just like Tigerclaw. Graystripe's too were smaller, but now their coats had dried and fluffed out. They looked just like any other healthy kits. One was the same dark gray as Graystripe, while the other had their mother's silvery coat. They're beautiful, whispered Fireheart. Better than he deserves, snorted Speckletail, pushing past on her way to answer Bluestar's summons. Don't listen to Speckletail, mewed Goldenflower when the older queen had gone. She bent over the kits and touched the silvery one with her nose. She'll be as beautiful as her mother, Graystripe. But what if they die? Graystripe blurted out. They're not going to die, Fireheart insisted. Goldenflower is looking after them. Goldenflower was gazing at all 4 kits with equal love and admiration, but Fireheart couldn't help thinking that she was looking tired and strained. Perhaps 4 kits were too much for her to manage. Push the thought away. The bond between a mother and her own kits was strong, he reflected, but the clan loyalty was strong too. And Goldenflower would give the best she could to these kits, because they were half ThunderClan, and she had a kind heart. Come on, Fireheart gave Graystripe a nudge. Bluestar called a meeting. She's going to make Cloudkit an apprentice. For a heartbeat, Graystripe hesitated, and Fireheart thought he was going to refuse to come. Then he pushed himself up and let Fireheart herd him towards the entrance, looking back all the while at his kits. Outside in the clearing, the rest of the clan had already gathered. Fireheart heard Willowpelt announce happily to Mousefur and Runningwind, I'll have to move into the nursery soon. I am expecting kits. Runningwind murmured his congratulations, while Mousefur gave her friend's ears a joyful lick. Fireheart couldn't help wondering who fathered these kits, as he glanced around and noticed Whitestorm watching proudly from a distance. The news of Willowpelt's kits reassured Fireheart. No matter what disasters they had to face, clan life went on. With Graystripe at his side, he made his way to the front of the crowd. Just below the high rock, Cloudkit was there, sitting up very straight and importantly beside Brindleface. Tigerclaw was seated close by, a thundercloud of disapproval on his face. Fireheart wondered what had happened now to send the deputy back into his usual bad temper. Cats of ThunderClan, Bluestar began at the top of the high rock. I've called you here for 2 reasons, one good and one bad. To begin with the bad, y'all know what happened a few days ago. When Silverstream of RiverClan died, we gave shelter to her kits by Greystripe. A hostile mutter swept through the crowd. Goddamn. A hostile mutter swept through the crowd of cats. Greystripe crouched down, flinching, and Fireheart pressed comfortably against him. Many cats have asked me what Greystripe's punishment will be. Bluestar went on. I've thought carefully on this, and I decided that Silverstream's death is punishment enough. What could any cat do to him that is worse than he has already suffered? Her challenge led to outraged meows of protest. Longtail called out, "We don't want him in the clan. He's a traitor." "If you become clan leader, Longtail, these decisions will be yours." Bluestar meowed coldly. "Until then, you will respect mine. I say there will be no punishment. However, Greystripe, for 3 moons, you will not attend gatherings. This is not to punish you, but to make sure there is no risk to you from angry RiverClan cats. You might be tempted to break the truce because of what you have done." Greystripe bowed his head. "I understand, Bluestar. Thank you." "Don't thank me," meowed the clan leader. "But work hard and fight well for your clan from now on. One day you will be a fine mentor for those kids." Fireheart saw that Greystripe brightened a little at that, as he suddenly saw something to hope for. Tigerclaw, however, scowled even more fiercely, and Fireheart guessed that he had wanted a harsh punishment for that warrior. "Now, I can turn to a happier duty," meowed Bluestar. "Cloudkit has reached his 6th moon, and he is ready to become an apprentice." She leaped down from the rock and beckoned Cloudkit to her with a flick of her tail. Cloudkit bounced over to her. He was quivering with excitement, his tail stuck straight in the air and whiskers twitching. His blue eyes sparkled like twin stars. "Fireheart," Bluestar meowed. "You're ready for another apprentice. And Cloudpaw is your sister's kit. You will be his mentor." Fireheart stood up, but before he could walk over to the high rock, Cloudkit scampered to meet him and lifted his head to touch noses. "Not yet," Fireheart muttered to him through his teeth. "Fireheart, you know what it is to be one of us, yet born outside the clan," Bluestar continued, ignoring Cloudkit's impulsiveness. "I rely on you to pass all you have learned to Cloudpaw, and help him to become a warrior of the clan to be proud of." "Yes, Bluestar." Fireheart dipped his head respectfully, and at last allowed Cloudpaw to touch noses with him. Cloudpaw, the new apprentice, meowed triumphantly. "I'm Cloudpaw." Cloudpaw, Fireheart felt a surge of pride in his sister's kit as the members of the clan pressed around to congratulate the new apprentice. The elders, Fireheart noticed, were making a special fuss over him. But Fireheart also noticed that some of the clan held back. Tigerclaw never moved from where he sat at the base of the rock, and Longtail stalked over to sit beside him. As Fireheart stood back to let the other cats reach his new apprentice, Darkstripe shouldered past him on his way to the warrior's den. Fireheart heard his disgust, deliberately loud meow. "Traitors and kitty pets. Is there no decent cat left in this clan?" That was the end of chapter 24. I'm gonna go ahead and take my last break of the evening. The next chapter, chapter 25, will be the last chapter of the stream. Thank you, and I'll be right back. I'm back, and no, there is no bot. The bot got banned by Siri about a while ago. Are you guys ready for the last chapter? Chapter 25. Fireheart paused at the edge of the trees. Wait, he warned Cloudpaw. We're near Two Lake Place, so we have to be careful. What can you smell? Cloudpaw raised his nose obediently and sniffed. He and Fireheart had been on the first long expedition of his apprenticeship, facing the clan boundaries and renewing the scent marks. Now they were near Fireheart's old kitty pet home. Outside the garden where Cloudpaw's mother, Princess, lived. I can smell lots of cats, Cloudpaw mewed. I don't recognize any of them, though. That's good, Fireheart told him. They're mostly kitty pets, maybe a loner or two, not clan cats. He had caught a trace of Tiger Claw's scent, too, but he didn't draw Cloudpaw's attention to it. He remembered the day, long ago, when the snow was on the ground, when he had tracked Tiger Claw to this place and found the deputy's scent mixed with the scents of many strange cats. Now, Tiger Claw's scent proved he had been here again. Fireheart still could not tell whether he had met the other cats, or whether their scents just happened to have crossed. But why should Tiger Claw come so close to the Two Lake Place, when he despised Two Lakes and everything to do with them? Fireheart, can we go and see my mother now? Cloudpaw demanded. Can you smell dogs? Or fresh Two Lake scent? Cloudpaw sniffed again and shook his head. Then let's go, mewed Fireheart. Looking carefully around, he stepped out into the open. Cloudpaw followed him with exaggerated caution, as if he wanted to show Fireheart how quickly he could learn. Since his apprentice ceremony the day before, Cloudpaw had been unusually quiet. He was obviously trying very hard to be a good apprentice, listening to everything Fireheart told him with wide-eyed seriousness. But Fireheart couldn't help asking himself how long this uncharacteristic humility would last. Instructing Cloudpaw to wait, he leaped onto the fence and looked down into the garden. Lurid colored flowers grew against the fence, and in the center of the grass some two-legged pelts hung on a spiky, leafless tree. "Princess," he called softly. "Princess, are you there?" Leaves quivered on a shrub close to the house, and the tabby and white figure of Princess stepped delicately onto the grass. When she saw him, she let out a delighted meow. "Fireheart!" Bounding over to the fence, she sprang up beside him and pressed her cheek against his. "Fireheart, it's been such a long time," she purred. "It's good to see you." "I brought someone else, too," Fireheart told her. "Look down there." Princess peered over the fence to where Cloudpaw sat on the ground below, looking up at her. "Fireheart!" she exclaimed. "That couldn't be Cloudkit. He's grown so much." Without waiting to be told, Cloudpaw leaped for the top of the fence, paws scrabbling madly against the smooth wood. Fireheart leaned over and fastened his teeth onto the scruff to pull him up the last couple of mouse links so that he could sit on the fence beside his mother. Cloudpaw looked at Princess with wide blue eyes. "Are you really my mother?" he asked. "I really am," Princess purred, looking her son up and down admiringly. "Oh, it's so good to see you again, Cloudkit." "Actually, I'm not Cloudkit," the fluffy white Tom announced proudly. "I'm Cloudpaw now. I'm an apprentice." "That's wonderful." Princess began to cover her son with licks, purring so hard that she could barely have the chance to breathe. "Oh, you're so thin. You get enough to eat? Have you made friends where you are? I hope you do what Fireheart tells you." Cloudpaw didn't try to answer the flooded questions. He wriggled out from his mother's caresses and edged away from her along the fence. "I'll be a warrior soon," he boasted. "Fireheart's teaching me to fight." Princess closed her eyes for a moment. "You'll have to be so brave," she murmured. For a moment, Fireheart thought she was regretting her decision to give her son to the clan. But then she opened her eyes again and declared, "I'm so proud of both of you." Cloudpaw sat even taller. As he lapped up her attention, he twisted his head to groom himself with rapid strokes of his small pink tongue. And while he was distracted, Fireheart whispered, "Princess, you ever see any strange cats around here?" "Strange cats?" She looked puzzled. And Fireheart wondered if there was any point in asking the question. Princess wouldn't know rogues or loners from ordinary ThunderClan cats. Princess shivered. "Yes, I've heard them yowling in the night. My two-leg gets up and shouts at them." "You haven't seen a big, dark tabby?" Fireheart asked, his heart starting to pound. "A tom with a scarred muzzle?" Princess shook her head, eyes wide. "I've only heard them, not seen them." "If you do see the dark tabby, stay away from him," Fireheart warned. Didn't know what Tiger Claw was up to so far from the camp. If it really was Tiger Claw, but he didn't want Princess going near the deputy just in case. This made Princess look so scared that he changed the subject, encouraging Cloudpaw to describe his apprentice ceremony, an expedition they had made around the borders. Soon she was happy again, exclaiming admiringly at everything her son told her. The sun was past its height when Fireheart meowed. Cloudpaw, it's time we went home. Cloudpaw opened his mouth as if he was going to protest, but he remembered himself in time. Yes, Fireheart. He meowed obediently. The princess, he added, why don't you come with us? I'd catch mice for you, and you could sleep in my den. Princess let out a purr of amusement. I almost wish I could, she replied honestly. But I'm really happier as a kitty pet. I don't want to learn to fight, or sleep outdoors in the cold. You'll just have to come and visit me again soon. Yes, I will, I promise, Cloudpaw mewed. I'll bring him, Fireheart meowed. And Princess, he added, as he prepared to spring to the ground. If you do see anything odd around here, please tell me about it. Fireheart stopped on the way back so that they could hunt. By the time he and Cloudpaw reached the ravine, the sun was near to setting, bathing the forest in red light and casting long shadows on the ground. Cloudpaw was proudly carrying a shrew, which he is going to take to the elders. At least it filled his jaws and put a stop to his endless chatter. Fireheart was feeling worn out after a whole day in his company, but he had to admit he was more impressed than he had expected. Cloudpaw's courage and quick wits promised that he would make an exceptional warrior. As they slipped down the shadowy ravine towards the tunnel, Fireheart paused. An unfamiliar scent tickled his nostrils, lifting him on the breeze that swept through the forest. Cloudpaw stopped too and put down the shrew. Fireheart, what's that? He tasted the air and drew in his breath in a gasp. You showed me that this morning. It's RiverClan. Very good, Fireheart mewed tensely. He had recognized it himself a heartbeat before Cloudpaw spoke. Looking up towards the top of the ravine, he could make out 3 cats picking their way slowly through the boulders. RiverClan it is, and it seems they're on their way here now. Go back to the camp and tell Bluestar. Make sure she understands it's not an attack. What I want? The young apprentice broke off as Fireheart frowned. Sorry, Fireheart. I'm going. He padded off towards the tunnel entrance, not forgetting to pick up his shoe. Fireheart stayed where he was. He drew himself up and waited while the 3 cats drew closer. He recognized Leopardfur, Mistyfoot, and Stonefur. When they were only a couple tail lengths away, he asked, RiverClan, what do you want? Why are you on our land? Though he had to challenge them for entering ThunderClan territory uninvited, he tried not to sound too hostile. He didn't want to add any possible trouble with RiverClan. Leopardfur stopped, with Mistyfoot and Stonefur just behind her. You come in peace, she meowed. There are matters to be settled between our clans. Wickedstar has sent us to talk to your leader. That is the end of chapter 25. that was the last chapter for this stream. So I do ASMR every Friday. So the last 5 chapters, which will be chapter 26 through 30, will be next Friday. Also on Halloween next month, I'm planning to do more of a spooky theme, so I may be taking a break from the books for a moment in order to do some script reading. I have asked my Discord to send me some suggestions. Other than that, I am going to rewrite one of my stories I had made in high school. So if you guys show up on Halloween, I'm going to have that original story done, hopefully. And I hope you guys enjoyed this stream. And if you did, make sure to drop a follow. Other than that, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.